Let's get rid of the annoying sound.
Caw-caw!
That is not the sound a falcon makes.
No, I don't know what noise a falcon makes, but
scream.
that was not it. Definitely not.
do.
Caw-caw!
Caw-caw! The happy crow.
They're all around my parts. My Willow is really short. And I'm like, get out of my parts.
Good Lord, what was that? Be quiet, you! Welcome back to the Jack of the Shadows podcast, episode 23. I am Eric VC, and as always, I'm joined by my trusty Mott and Hoople, the VC boys. Say hello, Adam.
Hello, me.
And say
Hey,
hello,
number 23,
Dave.
I like that number.
I definitely want to be Hoople.
I'll be the Mott. I'll bring the Mott.
I'll just be Hoople.
I'll be the Motley crew.
There you go.
This episode, we will cover the exciting events of chapters 31 through 36 of Robert Jordan's The Dragon Reborn, the third book of the Wheel of Time. And we will start, as always, with a view from Dragonmount, and then descend into the meadow to see what shook your Willow. Then we'll revisit the terrors of the land in Fear of the Dark before we once again fall into the world of illusions in dreams. We will then wake from our dreams to get randy before heading into the last leg of our podcast with our Coplin of the week and Who Leveled Up?
I need like little cards here to like protest these titles. I'm gonna have like a little stampede around.
I
here.
wish to register a complaint.
Exactly.
When are we all going to get our What Shook Your Willow tattoos?
Never. The answer is never.
I got a better idea, Dave. We'll just give you a sandwich board, and you can march up and down
There you go.
the front of the complex here
Yeah.
and protest the
I
titles.
protest.
I don't like my Willow. So let's
7 or 8.
get a view from Dragonmount.
Yes, let's.
Last episode, we covered chapters 25 through 30 as we watched our accepted travel to the world of dreams, and from there decide that they would head out to Tyr in the heart of the stone, where all of our roads seem to be leading. They gave one of their letters of passage from the Amerlin to Matt with the request that he take to Morgase a message informing her that her daughter has departed Tar Valon. Matt then headed out into the night and gambled himself to a fortune while quickly escaping some assassins before heading into the Woman of Tanchico. And that is where we begin this episode. As
Absolutely.
a wealthy Matt enters the Woman of Tanchico to discover
We
his
all
old
know
friend
about
Tom
those
Marilyn,
women.
a little worse for the wear, and reciting his tales for the local customs. Matt convinces Tom to board the first ship they find out of town, and they use the Amerlin's letter to board the Grey Gull, captained by Juan Malia. In the night, Matt is attacked by some assassins he dodged in South Harbor, but he and Tom dispatch of them on board the ship and watch the others swim away into the river.
Swim!
Swim
all
for
went
your
swimmingly.
lives! The scene then
I'm
moves
glad
to...
that most of them know how to swim, at least.
Well, Tom doesn't think they're going to make it to shore, so he doesn't believe they can at least swim
Tom
as
should
far as
whip
they
a
need
dagger
to.
at them.
They ain't no English Channel swimmers, I'll tell you that.
They're all the Titanic people.
I don't know how many people have perished in the channel.
In the Channel? People drown in the
Yeah.
Channel.
They're probably not all that great swimmers, just some good ones that made it across.
Anyhow, the scene then moves to Perrin, Moraine, Lan, and
Swim.
Loyal on the old Lugard Road, still following Rand's trail. They enter the town of Brennan and pass an Aiel in a cage before gaining lodging on Wayland's Forge and meeting the hunter for the horn, Lord Orban. What was that? You're hissing Lord
Lord
Orban. Perrin then frees the Aiel Gull from his cage. The two kill a bunch of children of the light who have been skulking around the area, and Perrin's group must now head on a ship for Ilion. As they jump onto the Snow Goose, they are immediately followed by a girl who has been staring at Perrin since he entered into the inn, and she
Indeed.
reveals herself as
Zareen.
or Fael, the Falcon. So that is our view from
That was-
Dragonmount. All right, so Dave, what shook your Willow this a week?
My this week, Willow is shaking, was done by Tom Maryland's return. It's funny. So I still couldn't remember what had happened to Tom. Like I had to go back and recap where he'd been because it had been so long. So I had to I'm like, wait, where? I'm great. Tom's back, but where's he been?
Where
And
has
then
he been?
It really does seem like he did kill Galdrian.
Yeah.
It seems like from where the illusion is that he killed Galdrian, and that's what happened after his girl was murdered in his apartment. Then he's been a drunken sot since then, apparently.
I mean, we know that Galdrian died.
And it caused a riot.
Like the day afterward.
Yeah.
So the day after Dina showed up dead. So
Not showed up, died right there.
No, she walked into the room after he'd been in there for several minutes, dead.
Zombie, yeah. It's a whole different movie.
Woke up dead.
I loved it. I love that Tom is back. Very interesting how he is not quite as drunk as he was playing out to be. You know, he was sauced, but all of a sudden he could walk just fine, and he wasn't just quite as drunk as he was playing out. So
I think that's more of like the second wind he gets when he's invigorated. I think he really is as sauced as he
could
seems.
be, yeah. But yeah, that's my moment.
Forget his old second wind.
It was fantastic for Tom to be back. I'm looking forward to him in the further travails as we stumble down Dragonmount.
Further confirmation, by the way, that Tom did what we are saying he did, is he says, such trouble it causes killing a man even when he deserves killing. Kill a man who needs killing, and sometimes others pay for it.
I always say.
Well, but I mean, he killed 2 other guys inside the room at that point. So.
Yes. He is walking death, that Mr. Maryland. For an old man, that's pretty impressive.
He can wield the knife, as we discover once he boards the ship.
And he's pretty
he had not killed anybody at that point,
wounded
by the
leg
way.
man.
Yeah, yes.
Yes, he did.
And he leaps onto that ship after Matt, and Matt has
drunk.
Right, yes. Intoxicated. Yeah. Adam's giving me a what the hell face.
A flying what?
What are you talking about? He didn't kill anybody.
He hadn't.
People that entered the room.
No, that quotation occurs in the inn.
He's killed plenty of people previous to this moment.
Yeah, he has. That quotation comes when they're talking in the Lady of Tanchico before they board the ship.
As he ruminates.
Oh, you're talking about the assassins that he kills in Dina's room.
Yeah, he's saying that phrase, and that could apply to those assassins as well.
It could,
but I don't.
Those are not consequential people, and he's probably.
But they deserve to be killed.
Sure.
Oh, they do.
I'm wondering where you're getting the evidence that he actually killed Galdrian from.
Oh, because Galdrian hired those thugs to kill him, but they killed Dina.
Remember, he first suspected that they were hired by Damodred. Yeah. And then the innkeeper informs him right as...
Lord Barthanas, yeah.
Lord Barthanas, right as the chapter closes, that
guy gives up
the main guy
says,
was commonly known as a Kingsman. And then he runs off in anger out of the inn. And then we find out in the next chapter that the king is dead and there's been a giant riot.
Sure.
I suppose it's possible he didn't, but...
I'm agreeing with you that I feel like he did kill him, but I was just wondering if you were bringing up any other evidence other than...
That's all we've got.
What seems... Okay. So this is circumstantial.
Yep. That's all the information that we have in the book.
Yeah, that is a big deal.
Yeah. Tom assassinated a king.
I'm just happy Tom's back.
I'm very happy he's back too, because I love Tom. I hope it doesn't change Tom's personality that he's coming up kind of sauced at this point, and he seems a little bit different.
He's got something to live for now.
He took Dina's death really, really hard, is what we learned from this.
He had something to live for before, and that was just the song.
But that Moraine, she's a fine-looking woman, too. I found that interesting.
Yeah. If she weren't an Aes Sedai.
All right, who's next?
I am.
All right.
What shook my willow this week was the burning down of the town of Sidon. It's another one of these crazy Taviran instances. This one, not so good. The last one we had was a bunch of marriages. Happy day!
That could be not so
Everybody
good, too.
Happy! Well, on the day of the wedding, most people are happy unless they got a shotgun in their back.
If you remember it.
But in this case, a lantern burns in a shed, and the Chicago fire happens.
Right.
Yeah.
The whole town burned down.
It was pretty good for Chicago. They did all right.
Not immediately afterward, though.
It was necessary for Chicago at the time, but that's a whole other story.
That's a horse of a different color.
Historic advice by Adam Van Conant.
The
purging of Chicago.
Burn your town down.
Chicago's filled with rats right now, Adam. Would you suggest we go on an arson trip?
Oh, you want me to talk about rats in Chicago? I got a whole sleeve of information about that.
Let's not say we did.
A dossier.
And when they talk about how the town burned down, it's like all of these coincidences that led to them not being able to get water.
Yeah,
the winds kicked up. All of the walls fell outward.
Are falling the wrong way.
And they're falling on the wells. Just a bunch of crazy stuff.
And all the buckets that they tried to use had holes in them. Or some of them had holes in them. My bucket's got a hole in it.
There's a hole in the fire bucket, dear Liza.
There's poison in the water hole.
That's it? That's all we're going to talk about that?
Don't you be pushing in on my Willow.
Hey, I think we're missing a Willow.
Yeah.
All right, my Willow is very, very simple.
Oh, no, it's not, because I'm going to complicate it for you.
Please do.
He's going to
Because
hijack
what
your Willow.
happens?
Right.
There's discussion afterwards, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Now, if we only knew
Salt
what the
and
Willow
pepper.
actually was.
All right, so mine is the fact that when Perrin and all of them are going into this inn, Ferlin, the innkeeper, brings up the fact that there's another false dragon in Gillidan right off the bat, and then Perrin smells something close to fear on Moraine. What shook me about that is she close to fear because she thinks that maybe this is someone else that might actually be the dragon.
Well,
At
And I might have
first,
messed up.
that's the instant concern that runs through her mind.
yeah, because they're all supposed to be gone. The pattern's
Right.
not supposed to spin out any more dragons.
Right. I think it was
Yeah.
Swan that voiced that. I feel like Moraine has flinched a couple of times, but I don't think it's happened around Perrin, and I don't think it's happened since Perrin has developed this sense of smell where he can smell
Yeah,
the
and
emotional pheromones.
And I don't
that
think she's
people emit.
avoiding being around him doing that. I think
No.
it just hasn't happened.
No, it just hasn't happened, and she does not flinch much.
No.
I mean, we don't.
Not much
no.
shakes her Willow.
No, right, correct.
Yeah.
But who do we discover this false dragon is?
Massima!
Massima. Yeah.
Massima!
Yeah.
Who last we saw
Moraine
go?
wants to have a little word with him.
My dad's gone crazy.
Yeah, he was just like, hee hee hee.
Yeah, he
I'm
was.
off to tell everybody.
And that's apparently what he's doing.
He was.
Yeah.
He was a little bit of an insane
He's
preacher
spreading
heading
the
out into the
word.
wilderness.
That guy's going to be a problem, I would assume.
I would assume so.
We'll
I
see.
bet you he doesn't bathe much either.
I mean, he's raising. They think
Cain?
that stuff in Gildan is going kind of crazy. So that's a problem already.
Yeah.
And there's some conjecture as to whether it's Gildan or Terabon, but wherever it is,
They're bonds. They're bonds.
he's
Those
already whipping up
Terrabonners.
fervor, and we know how these medieval people like their fervor.
Thick and meaty.
So, who thought Massimo was going to be a major character?
I forgot about him entirely.
Right. That's exactly it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Bail Domon coming back. Poof. Domon's back and
Yeah.
pretty hefty character.
I think that we've learned that Jordan doesn't dispatch of these people. That, if you spend time with somebody, the chances are they're going to show up again, probably.
Yes.
So
He's
thanks,
no,
Bob.
George R. Martin.
Right. He is not right. He is not George
He hangs
R. R.
on to his
Martin.
characters that he develops.
Are we calling him Bob now?
Well, those of us that are
Happened?
close.
Is
Bobby
this-
Jordan.
All right, Eric has the ability to call him Bob. I don't quite yet.
So that was our Willow moment for the week. It is
Yes.
now time
That was
to
Buffy approved.
express our fear of the dark. Fear
Yeah.
of the dark.
Mm.
I have a
Piercing.
constant fear that something's always. I don't know how much that I can sing.
Well, that was enough.
Adam is twirling his mustache over there.
Zoinks.
Zoinks!
Visually to
Scoob.
Yeah.
So, gray men's popping up everywhere now. They
That was an
are
odd
everywhere.
transition.
They're chasing after Rand.
Mhm.
They're chasing after Matt. They're
Rand kills one and doesn't even know that he's killed one.
Yeah. The one guy disappears. Matt comes out of the Lady of Tanchico, and
I'm guessing
He's-
someone's taken his body.
we're sure that's a gray man because he didn't see him on the bridge, and then all of a sudden he
Right.
was there.
Yeah.
And then he's gone.
We're also sure that he's a gray man because Tom gives evidence that there aren't any flatfoots.
Padfoot.
Pads.
But then we have these two guys that get on board the Gray Gull.
Mhm.
And they're the same guys that were bookending the alleyway that he got caught in. Are they gray men?
No.
Right, they're not.
No,
So they are
that's-
foot pads
yeah,
that were
that's true.
abroad in Tarvalon, despite Tom's
Despite
Yeah,
That's
Tom,
protestations.
what's up?
Yeah. They might have just been
Make
there
me
just
look the
recently,
fool.
not like hanging out all the time.
So who are these guys?
They're dark friends, clearly.
Yeah.
Remember,
Or, I don't
also, in Perrin's dream, Baalzamon talks to somebody who's in Tarvalon and says, "You let him get away." I don't think he was talking to one of those two guys, but I think he's talking to the guy that
Someone
set
in-
those two guys
In league
up.
with those two,
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
weren't those two guys dead?
well, yes. Some of them had been.
Some
yes,
of them,
you're
I'm
right.
not
Yep.
all sure who, yeah.
Yeah. Matt killed those two guys because he heard him talking when he came up. One of them was leaning on the rudder and then died and set the ship into a tizzy.
Yeah. Apparently they were in league with the guy on the boat.
The guy in the boat had
Oh,
disappeared.
that's right. It was a different guy. Yeah.
The captain comes up and is like, "Hey,
You're
what's my
not
guy?"
so-and-so.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're not so-and-so.
Wait a second.
Stuff and nonsense.
And then we have this discussion about the High Lord Samon.
High Lord Salmon is from Ilion.
Then Tom says, there's no High Lord Samon in Ilion.
He be new.
So there's some new guy who is acting as the preeminent ruler. Let's call him the prime minister to
And boy, he
simplify
sure hates
things.
Aes Sedai.
And he really hates Aes Sedai, like Archer Hawkwing hates Aes Sedai.
but alive.
But apparently, I mean, he sounds like he's trying to whip up the winds of war against Tar Valon.
Yeah.
So we got that going on as well.
That doesn't sound good.
Seems like it.
That's not in dreams, though.
No, that is
But
his
in
dream.
reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the dark winds are blowing here.
The gray man you're mentioning, and Rand just bumps one off. So did he see him and kill him? Or did he just kill him as an accident?
He killed him as an accident as part of, because remember, he's dancing the forms. He's dancing Thistledown floats on the whirlwind.
I think he does a good job of when the gray men die, and then it's like, oh, wait, no, all of a sudden, here's another one. You thought there were 12. Here are
There's 13.
And then Rand is like, sorry, guys.
And there's the number 13
company.
again.
Yeah.
He's doing these sword
Mightily
forms
done.
left and right and
It's
just
like
killing
it came
people.
out of your coat.
Not only he's doing these swords, but the sword is part of him.
Yes, it's
He's one.
It is the flame sword, the power wrought sword.
I also think it's interesting. Like we know we are really familiar with the Gray Men, but Matt and Rand don't know who or what they are. They're just these nondescript dudes they've killed.
Yeah, they keep coming.
Yeah, they keep appearing places. We have exercised our fear of the dark. However, we are rushing straight toward Of Wolf and Man.
Shapeshift.
There it is.
Not only is this the Shapeshift book, this seems to be Perrin's book, right?
Back to the meaning of.
It seems like he was kind of not around for a little bit, and it started off with
Yeah,
him,
he
but
was
heck yeah, it's
he
back to
disappeared
him.
for a period of time. Yeah.
But every time we go back to that party, we're looking at it through Perrin's eyes. But to get back to your previous statement, Adam, about what happens after the town of Sidon.
Rand, as a Taviran, was messing up with villages, and kind of like fluky things were taking place. It's kind of jovial things. And then all of a sudden it starts to become dangerous.
Right, so he talks to Moraine, and she says, the creator is good, the father of lies is evil, the pattern of the age lace itself is neither. The pattern is what is. The wheel of time weaves all of the lives into the pattern, all actions. A pattern that is all one color is no pattern. For the pattern of age, good and ill are the warp and the woof.
If the pattern were one color and it was like a real nice color of calm and tranquility, that's a sweet color. And yet it just has to have different colors so that it's going to be chaos here and there. It's kind of convenient, in my opinion.
For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Well,
so
it's just saying that there has to be a good and evil.
This is Buddhism, right?
I suppose.
It's the yin and the yang, which is also the mixture of the dragon claw and the white flame of Tar Valon.
Yeah, the dragon's fang.
Right. So this is a world where duality is important, or at least from Moraine's point of view. She doesn't go so far as to say you can't have good without evil or evil without good, but she does say that the pattern of the age lace doesn't care.
It spins both, yeah.
Right.
And the interesting thing to me also was just that, like, so Adam, Perrin's getting concerned about Rand and all this stuff. It's nothing that Rand can do. Rand is just being Rand, and by being Rand, this stuff happens around him. That's the effect of being Taviran. So it's kind of like getting concerned about something that there's ultimately nothing to be done about it.
That's what he's coming to terms of dealing with, because the thing that he says originally to Moraine is that the pattern wouldn't make waste. And so it's just another example, I suppose, of Perrin not really knowing as much as, again, Moraine knows. And he just feels like what's following Rand is evil.
So
and
is
I
this
feel
gonna
like Rand feels that way too.
Is this going to happen to Matt and Perrin?
Right.
Well, they're Taviran.
Who knows?
They're obviously not as strongly Taviran as Rand is, but
I don't know. Matt seems to be pretty strongly Taviran right now.
Well, yeah, but they indicate that Rand is the strongest Taviran since before Hawkwing, even stronger than Hawkwing.
Right.
If you think of them in terms of gravitational forces, and
Rand is the sun.
No, Rand's a black hole.
Right. Yeah, they're smaller planets. So yeah, I mean, I think it's realistic to expect that they're going to draw changes to them. And I mean, we've already seen it impact Matt's luck. Matt rolled a perfect roll for an entire evening.
Well,
yeah.
Is that Matt being Taviran, or is this Matt's superpower? Because they're not necessarily the same thing.
They may not necessarily be the same thing, but they might. I don't know that we know yet.
Yeah, I mean,
it's certainly something we should keep an eye on.
Because we've identified Rand's got a superpower. He can channel.
Right.
And he's Taviran. Perrin's got a superpower. He's connected to the wolves. And he's Taviran. So maybe that's Matt's thing. And he's Taviran.
That's a good question. I think I would lean with you toward that is probably his superpower. So we haven't really seen the pattern sort of shape itself to him yet. So Perrin also seems to be doing a lot of mental gymnastics to sort of confirm his own idea in himself as a good person. Because after that conversation about the wheel balancing and weaving in both good and evil, Perrin almost goes into this mantra of I'm okay, I'm a good person, I believe in in good stuff. And then we also have the entire moment with the axe and him not wanting to use the axe, even though he does go ahead and do that in order to destroy the children of the light.
He puts it on without even being aware that he put it on. It's becoming second nature to him, even though he's trying to fight it.
He doesn't want to think of himself as a warrior, but he still acts like one when it's necessary.
He wants to be a blacksmith, but guess what? You're both.
He thinks about Moraine. I know what I care about in this world. Moraine doesn't seem to care for anything but Rand. And that made me laugh because I don't think Moraine cares about Rand. Moraine cares about saving the world.
Moraine cares about everyone. Right. An individual is less important as the collective whole.
In caring about everyone, she cares about no one. Good. Because if any single individual is a problem toward her ultimate goal, then that person ultimately doesn't matter.
But she has to care about Rand vis-a-vis because he's the one who can save the world. So,
for example, she was just saying that she would give up her warder to go travel somewhere else.
And she and Swan have also thought about disposing of Rand when everything is over. So
it's very Machiavellian.
I don't know how much about Rand. Rand is a tool to her, which he's accused her of, and she's said.
But he's the tool that she has.
So then Perrin meets Gaul.
Seemingly an important moment.
Right. It fulfills one of Min's visions.
Yeah. Kind of a linchpin moment there, and things really hit the fan once he frees Gaul. He doesn't even think about it. He thinks about it. He just doesn't even hesitate, really, is what it is. I'm going to do this.
He thinks about it for a while.
I'm just going to go right ahead and do this. It was a bit irresponsible on Perrin's part for them trying to keep a low profile.
Apparently, they just thought that he escaped on his own.
The people of the
village
people of the village think that Gaul escaped on his own. Gaul mentions to Perrin that he's out seeking he who comes with the dawn, which it's really interesting because Perrin is totally willing to be like, oh yeah,
I know who that
we're
is.
looking after him too.
Yeah, he offers that right up.
That's such a huge deal.
Yeah.
He's just going to give out Rand like that?
He's all right with it as long as it's he who comes with the dawn and not the dragon reborn.
It seems like it's more hope.
But it's just funny because they're both the same guy.
Not only does he know him, but he tells him where to go to find him.
Right. Yeah.
Good grief.
Follow my nose.
It always knows.
So then he climbs that gibbet and pulls up a man in an iron cage.
All by himself.
And chained.
That took 4 other people to do.
So that he can unleash the rope with the other.
A beast.
And then he thinks to himself, if you're going to make something, you should make it the right way.
Right, exactly. Then he's ticked because the cage is made poorly.
Shoddily
and the chain is made poorly.
Shoddily crafted.
So then Gaul gets out.
Then Gaul gets out.
Gaul gets out and proceeds to attack a group of well-armed and well-trained children of the light with no weapon.
Yeah.
So what form of martial art is he doing while he is chopping people in the throat and kicking them in the face?
Every form of martial art there ever was.
He's just dancing.
He is Steven Seagaling these people.
Right.
No.
He was more Chuck Norris than Steven Seagal.
Thank you. Well, yes, Chuck Norris. That's That's popular with the kids.
Yes. Chuck
like
Norris
Steven
facts.
Seagal is.
No, Chuck Norris is popular.
Talking about not anymore. Maybe in 2010.
Yeah, Chuck Norris facts.
Chuck Norris is still on commercials
Still does
for
the
Bowflex commercials,
Chevrolet
whatever he does.
commercials. He's on Chevy
Hey,
commercials.
Chuck Norris, go put on your cowboy hat and be a Texas lawman.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly. Let's just step back in that moment. One of my favorite moments of him and Gaul is when the one guy boasts in the end about, we kidnapped this Aiel.
Orban
and
Orban and Gan.
Yeah, they're
Orban
all
is the one
boasting
bragging.
about nonsense. And
Gan's
Gaul's
laid up
like,
in his room. Gan's not doing anything.
And Gaul's like, there were two of us.
Gall's
And
like,
one of us is dead because we weren't paying attention.
Right.
But we took out like half their people.
yes.
I love how he just kind of is like, no.
He took out all of their supporters and
injured those two pretty grievously.
Gaul says something very fascinating in that instance is the fact that he said that the land made them weak. And then he just saw this like a pond and then a woman swimming in it. And he was so blown away and he thought this woman was so brave that they just got distracted by it.
right.
So those two could have just taken on all of the rest of them.
I'm sure.
But it's interesting to me that the land made them weak.
This guy who just dominated a group of white cloaks without a weapon is really, really impressed by a woman swimming out into the middle of a pond.
Apparently they have no water.
They don't.
He's so distracted by her. And it's not even her naked body that he's distracted with. It's the fact that she's so brave that she can go do that. He's like, what's going on?
So, I mean, that just gives you an idea of exactly how dry this desert is.
Yeah. Yeah. And Gaul is just a bad man.
If you had a super soaker, you could destroy these ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
Not today.
So because of what Perrin does, they have to flee in the night.
Run away.
Question though for all y'all right now. There was mention that the White Cloaks were there. Isn't it kind of strange that they just showed up?
They were out hunting the Aiel.
Well, right, but I mean, they didn't know.
Sure, but
so they just knew the Aiel were there. They had to have been in the area.
Oh no, they were in the area, and they were probably just in the town. There's White Cloaks everywhere.
We haven't really run into them that much.
But
we're near their hometown.
They're just roaming the streets and making sure everything's cool.
Pretty much.
Well, they're roaming the plains. I mean, we're out in the middle of nowhere.
I was still a little bit surprised that.
Yeah, it does come as an interesting bit of information, which is why Moraine was kind of like, White Cloaks, really? Because you're right, we haven't run into any since.
We haven't run into any
Moraine.
since
Falma?
Not Moraine. I think Egwene. When they rocked their Casbah.
Well,
on the way to the White Tower.
Right,
yeah.
on the way on the outskirts of Tar Valon. I think it's funny that as they abscond to the ship, Loyal is like, "Hey, Perrin, this is like good old times, right?"
No kidding. That's so funny to me.
And Perrin's like,
hey,
"This isn't
like
good old times."
You're like 150 years old.
90 something.
What are you talking about? I know he's like 93 or something like that, but he's talking about old times.
Yeah.
To him, that would have been yesterday.
And Perrin is thinking to himself, "You're enjoying this way too much." And then Loyal's defense is,
just a little bit of the peril.
"I have to enjoy this. I'm writing this epic.
It's me, Bobby.
But I've got to experience it all, Perrin.
It's a writer's privilege." So then they get on board and we get introduced to Zarina / Mandarb / Fail. Right, because she's like, they call me Mandarb.
Perrin loses.
And Perrin's like, Mandarb is the name of that horse.
That's the best.
I love the fact that she was so proud of saying that they called her Mandarb, though.
She was.
Yeah, she was so happy with that name, and Perrin just downright loses it.
It's like one of your friends coming to you and telling you that they're really proud because their nickname is Butch, and you're like, "Hey, that's our dog's name."
Yeah.
No. That's someone that comes up with their own nickname. Don't come up with your own nickname. It's awful.
Don't they have to take a name in Ilion when they take the
Hunters
oath
of
for
the
the
Horn?
horn?
Sure.
She just sneaked in there to take that oath, though.
No, she didn't. She was
was
suggesting
part of the
that she was easy to. It was easy for her to hide in there because she was in there with thousands of people. There were thousands of people in the crowd. Anybody could have been in there, including.
Yeah, and then she was like, "Oh
Who
yeah."
is this Zarine?
I don't know. She has an aquiline nose, though. He loves describing that thing.
Mm-hmm.
He does, and her dark hair and her almost beautifulness, but Perrin doesn't know.
So she reveals a couple of interesting
This is very
things.
funny. Yeah.
First of all, she mentions that Orban is thinking about looking for the horn in the Blackwood or the Forest of Shadows, which is just south of Two Rivers.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to head on there. Yep. So he's headed on his way to
and his merry men.
Him and
Orban.
his friend.
And the other ones are dead or injured.
Who may or may not exist.
He's still got his pal.
His posse.
I don't know. I don't know what that guy's doing. He's
to Adam's point, we don't know if he's actually real.
So he's headed there.
Tiddly winking.
And then she goes into this whole litany of her theory of where the horn is.
Out in the mountains of mist.
Right, in the mountains of mist.
Perrin's like, yeah, that's where it is. Go there.
Because of Manetheren.
Right.
Like she has this whole theory of Manetheren, which is fascinating. So
that sounds great. You should go.
I don't know if it's a whole theory. It doesn't seem like a theory. It just seems like she thinks it's there. She's not putting up any good evidence of that.
No, yes, she has some really good. She has some really good evidence. It's that the queens of Manetheren were all Aes Sedai. Their kings were warders. Their capital was in the Mountains of Mist. It's an incredibly old nation, and there are all these stories about the Mountains of Mist, which seem to be designed to ward people away. So she's got several facts. I
mean, why not go to shit
she's
or
based
Logoth,
her decision on?
I mean, facts are wrong.
They are. They're dead wrong.
Those facts aren't wrong. Her conclusion is wrong.
No, sure.
She doesn't have enough facts.
And meanwhile, Perrin's like, I'm laughing at your name and the fact that you're dead wrong.
Right. And at first he's a little scared when
I
she
don't know if he was
brings up
laughing at that. I think he was more frightened about the fact that they're naming his hometown. Seems like more people are going to that area.
The Two Rivers has become Ta'Veren.
Well, we now know that Elaine and her mom have a certain interest in it.
It's just a village. Can a village be Ta'Veren?
It is drawing all these people to it.
This just in from Eric.
So
like that.
This just did.
That's the daily podcast. That's a separate thing.
Hunter Helmquist. So Fael chooses the name Fael, and that means the Falcon. And so Perrin is like, "Oh no, I'm afraid I found the Falcon. I definitely know I found the guy in the cage," which then fulfills two of Min's prophecies.
1.5 anyhow. There's supposed to be the Falcon and the Hawk.
She also tells him to beware of a very beautiful woman, which is a nice segue into our next section. Everybody's dreaming. Everyone can dream. That should be the name of this book. Like in Ratatouille, anyone can cook. Anyone can dream.
Everyone can dream.
We've got Egwene dreaming, and Perrin dreaming, and Rand dreaming, and Egwene has connected all of their dreams. And all these people are like, hey, I saw Egwene in my dream. Could that really have been Egwene? So
Matt is left out of this equation.
Poor Matt. So
he just sees dead people.
We get confirmation now from both boys that they can recall and did see Egwene. So not only did she see them and they interact with her, but they were also present and conscious, and they recall seeing her, even though they're not sure that she's what they saw, right?
Right. But Rand seems to recognize that actually was her. He seems to think that. I don't
know about that.
He's battling with that, right?
Yeah. His dream. I don't think he recognizes that it was Egwene.
Perrin definitely knows.
Yeah, and
I think Rand recognizes that it definitely was Perrin also. He knows that it was Perrin.
Yeah, that's what I was. No, I think he recognizes that it was Perrin.
So Perrin meets up with Hopper again.
Let's stop right there. He wakes up into the dream and Hopper's automatically taking him somewhere. Was Hopper anticipating that he was going to be there? I mean, that's like the first thing that happens.
Or did Hopper call him there?
I don't know.
Unlike Egwene, who sort of has to figure out where she is in that world,
right?
Perrin seems to automatically find himself in the place he needs to be.
Yeah.
Even though it's not the place he needs to be, Hopper's going to take him to the place he needs to be.
And away they go.
And away they go. And they go through some crazy stuff. And then they end up in a place where they basically don't have any bodies, but Perrin can still feel the scruff of Hopper's neck. They can see below to a floor of mirrors that extends.
At one point it mentions that they have no bodies, and then at the other point it mentions that he can see below his feet.
Well, here's a question for you. Have you ever been in a darkness so black that you can't see your body?
I think that's an expression to just give us an idea of direction. I don't think he could see his feet. He could just see below where his feet would have been.
Yeah.
That would be a better way to say it.
Well, I'm a better writer than Jordan, so,
Bobby J.
That's why I call him Little Bobby.
Maybe he doesn't have a body. Maybe they do have a body and you just can't see it because it's so black. I'm not sure.
They definitely express that it's really, really dark, and he doesn't feel like he has a body. He can't see it, but he can see these people. Yeah. And there's light reflecting off of the mirrors. If his feet were there, he could have seen them. I think that description that you're giving at him is just a direction. They're immediately below him because the mirrors are below them. So they're floating in between Perrin and the mirrors.
Yeah.
And they're not standing on anything, apparently. They get to this locale in a strange way, and this is not a physical location.
Somewhere outside of time and space.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, this whole world is outside of time and space, it seems.
But all of the instances of the dream world that we've had up to this point have been physical. This is an abstraction.
Yeah, but you think of the Escher-like qualities of when Selene/Lanfear was meeting up with one of the other Forsaken. They were going through all these little towers and caverns, and they were crossing. I kind of pictured like an Escher thing with like these weird,
but I don't think
not
it is
quite real. It's like in the Marvel movie Doctor Strange, where they're creating all these realities, and the realities are shifting around onto each other.
I feel that's where we are. I don't think we've experienced anything like that up to this point. I think that while it's definitely been a dream world, it seemed to obey like our basic physical principles. I can't think of anyone, because even when Rand and Perrin have found themselves in that strange bridge castle, they suggest that there are a lot of bridges, but they never suggest that the bridges seem to be disobeying the basic rules of physics. This is the first
probably
place.
Just the way I pictured it.
Yeah.
No, Dave is right. They do. Because that's why we talked about before that it was like Escher. All of a sudden, Balsamon was walking in these steps way behind, and then he just showed up right in front of Rand.
That's also a strange place.
It did not.
I think that's all this. I think there's just like little pockets in this whole dream world where there's, whatever can happen.
But remember, some of the pockets we know are reflections of our world, things that could have been. And
we also know it's created reality too, because Egwene can change her clothes and change what she's wearing.
She's not changing the world. She's changing herself.
She's part of the world.
Right.
What's to say that the rest of the world can't change? The dream world seems to have a different sense of physics than the real world does.
It's not the physics of this place. It's the location. It is in a complete abstraction. There is nothing to alter. You can't change any of the facades in the area because there are none. Part of the use of the mirrors is to create a sense of infinity. So we see Balsamon talk to some of his followers, and he decides he's not happy with the way things are going, which, by the way, Balsamon now looks different, right?
Well, he changes back and forth.
I mean, first of all, he's wearing black and silver.
Right. Oh, you mean he looks different clothing-wise.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
He's right, Adam. He looks healthier and healthier.
But he still grasps his chest.
Yes. But he has hair now. He's not just a charred, red, burned scalp. But Perrin can identify him because he's still got the caverns of flames in his eyes and his mouth. Yeah. So he punishes his people, then sets them back to their task, and then Lanfear appears. And now Perrin realizes who this woman is.
Who's that girl?
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, one of the most important moments in this chapter and what we've read up to this point happens in this confrontation between Lanfear and Balsamon. Lanfear shows no subservience to him, not whatsoever.
No. Yeah.
And Balsamon
Perrin certainly gets that sense.
Right, but Balsamon's specific dialogue with her is he's talking about remember your vows to the Dark One, not remember your vows to me.
Well, I mean, kings speak in the third person.
She's talking to him like he's an equal.
Dave, not only an equal, she defied the shadow. The term in the book is defied the shadow, which is the way that she talks to Balsamon. It seems a little bit ninny pants.
Well, Perrin certainly walks away with the impression that he fears Lanfear more than he fears Balsamon, which he thinks is strange. But the conversation is, you always thought yourself greater than you were, Lanfear. And she says, I am as great as I am.
Yes.
What have your plans come to? 3,000 years and more of whispering in ears and pulling strings of throne puppets like an Aes Sedai. 3,000 years, and yet Lews Therin walks the world again, and these Aes Sedai all have him leashed. Can you control him? Can you turn him? He was mine before ever that straw-haired chit Ilyana saw him. He will be mine again. Do you serve yourself now, Lanfear? Balsamon's voice was soft, blah, blah, blah. Have you abandoned your oaths to the great lord?
Just everything in there that she says, it's not servant to master, it's equal to equal.
The fact that she says you make free use of my domain. when she's talking about dreams. So she's saying that this is like her area. Dreams were always mine to use and walk, and now I am free again, and I will use what is mine. Why in the world would this person or this being that is ultimate power and ultimate evil not have
reign over everyone's domain?
Why would he? Yeah, why wouldn't he lord over everyone's domain? She doesn't seem to be that scared of this. And this being is
no.
Okay.
Who's she supposed to be serving? Ultimately, at the end, she says that she will serve, and she does serve.
So Perrin wakes from his dream and is like, "Whoa, what the heck was that?" You know what I should do?
I like the fact that he does do that.
I should go and talk to Moraine.
Thank God.
This is a new behavior.
Yeah.
For real. I honestly thought when I was reading it, because he woke up and then he fell back asleep.
Right, he did. He falls back asleep.
And I thought he was not going to go talk to her.
Right.
I thought he was going to forget everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, he's going to think it was just a dream.
Hats off to you, Perrin. Blades off.
Yeah.
Perrin goes and finally talks to Moraine. And you're right, Adam. He falls asleep and then wakes up and actually follows through on this. So what does Perrin gain from this conversation?
Maybe some trust from Moraine.
Yeah?
Really?
Maybe. Because he voluntarily brought her information, which he's not voluntarily done before. Not without having his teeth pulled to do so.
Well, he had his teeth pulled pretty hard in this dream.
Right, but I mean by her.
Right. I mean,
so
they eventually got pushed to the point of fear where they revealed their dreams before to her.
I don't think the conversation quite went like he was hoping it was going to go with Moraine, but never does. But he gave her some good information.
So why do you think he gained trust from her? What did she do? What did she say in that conversation that gives you the feeling?
Nothing that she said.
Okay.
It's just speculation on my part, but just knowing what we know from Moraine thus far and how stubborn these Two Rivers people are, he could have sat on that information and said nothing.
Yeah, he could have. Yes, he could. She gains a lot from the conversation.
Right, but what I'm saying is it is bilateral because he can go to her with stuff like this potentially now.
Mm-hmm.
And she can trust that he can do that, and what he gets back from her is maybe she will be more forthcoming with information because she shares a few things in that conversation with him too that she doesn't necessarily have to. So maybe that'll open that door more down the road. I don't know.
What does she share with him? The only thing that I know that she reveals is that there have been 3 men prior to the spinning out of the false dragons who could dream in the way that he says he can dream. But she also tells him, if you had said this to any other Aes Sedai, you would have probably been stilled. Don't worry, it doesn't matter. You don't have the one power in you, so it wouldn't do anything to you. But he does. That's still terrifying.
It is, but she doesn't have to tell him that. He could go off and babble about this stuff to let's say Varen, for example, and who knows how Varen would react to it. We don't know.
Adam, what do you think Perrin gains from this conversation?
Don't talk to anybody else about it.
Her primary reaction to this is, stop asking me to do stuff. You don't know the right questions to ask me, and I'm never going to tell you, I'm never going to tell you more than I think you absolutely need to know.
I don't think she's...
Now, get out.
Yeah.
If that were me, I'd be like, okay, goodbye, and this will be the last conversation we'll have. Good
thing he's not you.
We'll see. We'll see how he chooses to inform her moving forward. But he does.
I agree with Eric that Moraine did not say anything to Perrin that would help him out in that situation.
I think he wants her to be like, okay, just in the same way that when I decided in the Eye of the World that we need to go to the Eye of the World. Now that I know that this woman is out there for sure, I'm going to do something in order to counteract that evil. He's seen her. That's what he's trying to find out from her. He doesn't know.
Well, she obviously, I don't think she would know. How's she going to find her? We don't know. Moraine doesn't seem to be a dreamer. She can't jump into the world of dreams.
Perrin looks at her as being
powerful.
Someone that's super powerful. If you're going to her like you're a teenager and this is your parent, and you're struggling with something.
Yeah, you just woke up from a nightmare.
Okay, but she's the wrong person to be going to that for then. Hands down. You should know that going in. When in the history of Moraine's relationship with any of them has she been the comforter? Never.
Not even that.
No, it's not comfort.
Yeah, it's not comfort. He's looking for action. It's action. Yes. And she doesn't act, and that totally shocks him. which is
shouldn't shock
fine.
him
That is
either.
her decision to make as to whether she's going to act. The problem that I have with it is it's completely understandable that he thinks that she could do something. That's totally logical. The fact that she's decided that she won't, maybe because she can't, maybe because she doesn't know how. There's 100 of different reasons why. The thing to do when you see somebody in distress is to talk them down. That is the human thing to do, is to be like, hey, I'm not going to do that. You know, let me give you a little bit of a reason why.
Is more harsh than probably what he was expecting to have.
Yes.
I agree with Dave in this instance. He should know by now what Moraine is like.
Yes, one time she did act. It was a big one time to go out and save the Eye of the World.
Yep.
This is not the Eye of the
doing
World.
action for that.
When you go to your parents after you've had a nightmare, you're looking for comfort. That comfort, for most kids, comes from them taking you to the closet and showing you there's no monster in there.
Right, but he should never
That's
have
the
viewed
action.
Moraine as she's definitely not one to disclose her plans either. So
Well, and she's
I'm
also
not saying that's right. It's going to be annoying.
she's also fixed on Rand right
Team
now
Moraine.
for understandable reasons. And
The priority is not Lanfear at the moment.
if Lanfear is the most powerful being that's out there, also I don't know how Moraine would fare in that conflict, which is something else she has to do.
Probably not well. She didn't fare well against the other Forsaken.
Right, she has her reasons.
She didn't fare well against Myrddraal from the first.
It's just
she
that
handled the Myrddraal.
it's
first book.
it's just that
It was a Drakkar she
first
didn't handle
book.
well.
Perrin behaves abnormally. He goes out of his comfort zone, and she doesn't. She stays right in her pocket.
She's in her wheelhouse, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Perrin's grown up.
Perrin did the right thing.
we get a ton of Perrin. We also get a sprinkle of Rand. So let's get Randy.
A little seasoning of Rand.
Rand is popping up a little bit more here and there, and we get confirmation from his couple of appearances here that he did see Egwene in that dream. He has been revisited by family members in his dream trying to do him harm. Rand is starting to
I love how this section with Rand, I love how he takes that woman out so quickly. He's just like, come on in, swoop, off, go with the head.
That was so unexpected.
It
was fantastic.
It was really unexpected.
Sure, it was fantastic because apparently she was evil, but
Rand is also starting to try to figure out whether or not some of the things that are happening around him are a result of him being Ta'Veren. And thinking about that is the same conversation within himself as to whether or not he's the Dragon Reborn. Because if he's a man who can channel who's Ta'Veren, the next logical leap from that would be that he is the Dragon Reborn. So he's
still
slowly
denying
coming
it.
around to that. He is still denying
He's still denying he's a Dragon Reborn.
but he's
what
working
a
his
milksop.
he's working his way to it.
Yeah.
maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, he comments specifically, they forced me to proclaim myself to being this, but I'm not really.
Well, he doesn't want to be. I mean, he's got an entire, defense mechanism, which is not wanting to be this thing, which is completely understandable.
Yeah, but when, everyone else recognizes what you are, you better eventually kind of recognize what you are.
Well, he's getting there.
Important.
He's getting there. And also isn't that why he's going to Tyr? Is to sort of prove to himself?
I don't
whether or
know
not
now,
this is true?
honestly.
We'll see.
Because I had
Who
thought
knows?
he had accepted who he was. Now we find out he really hasn't accepted who he is. So
He knows
what's
the
the
name
point
of
of him
the
doing
sword.
this
The
then? Is
sword
it
is
to
calling him.
He's trying to prove something to himself, it seems.
I don't even know. Is he trying to prove himself or is he trying to prove it to everybody else and just make everybody else happy? I don't know what he's trying to do.
I mean, I think they're simpatico. I think the one leads to the other. I think the first thing is to prove it to himself, and then at the same time,
battle in the sky with the power and the fact that you can channel and all this other weird prophecy falling into place isn't enough. So what's this additional piece going to do?
I don't get the confusion on his part either, but there still is, and it's just psychological. Yeah, it's just
nature.
right. He just doesn't want to be this guy. I wouldn't want to be this guy either.
Perrin didn't want to be the wolf guy, but he accepted it. And
He has not.
I think he has.
Do not.
I guess it depends on what you mean by acceptance. I mean, he's recognized it.
Let's look at this last dream.
He's still going out and being like, "Oh wait, am I far out into the water so I can't hear the wolves?"
Yeah, there's a difference between
totally not accepting.
There's a difference between accepting the fact that you have this power and wanting to use it. Those are two very different things. He doesn't want to use it. He's accepted that he's in the dream with Hopper. He went where Hopper led him without a second of hesitation or question. He went and did it right away.
So,
well, the dream is a big part of it. I think he's accepted that he has his power. He's reticent to use it. That's what he's hesitant
not only
because he doesn't want to go crazy.
Beyond being reticent to use it, he's also not thrilled. He's still not
scared of
thrilled
becoming gnome.
Right.
I'm confused about the difference.
He thinks about Elias
because Rand is also quote unquote accepted that he has the power.
Rand's accepted he's got the power.
When he uses it,
he doesn't want to believe he's the Dragon Reborn.
So Rand also seems to be able now to differentiate between those dreams that are something and those that aren't, like Egwene can.
Kind of like Perrin.
Perrin doesn't seem to
he's got his
really
normal
be able to do
dreams.
that. He can identify like the wolf dream.
Right.
And then it seems like Selene is telling Rand to get Kalendor in his dreams.
Think of the power, Rand.
And Rand's head is hurting him now. Rand's side has been bothering him because that wound where Baalzamon stabbed him with the staff hasn't healed, but now his head is hurting him.
Could be a byproduct of using the power all the time. Who knows?
I thought his head was hurting him before.
You know what? He might have been having headaches in the mountains.
Even in the mountains when he first channeled and was causing the earthquake.
Yeah, because that's what was leading to
earthquake.
That was our first instance of it post Fallman.
Yeah, that's what led to the earthquake. So that campfire scene, is he just constantly being attacked now by dark friends?
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
At night, all the time?
Yep.
Yeah, they're tracking him and they're tackling.
You would think that they would communicate better with each other. Like, hey,
we
keep revisiting this guy every week and nobody's coming back.
But that's kind of what we've learned about the Dark Friends is they're disjointed.
You would also think that Perrin, Matt, and Rand would talk about things to each other, and Egwene and Nynaeve would too. It's the same thing. It's just
nobody in this world talks to anybody else. That's what you're saying. This is a major driving theme.
They don't have cell phones, so. Well, they don't. Like I said, they don't have cell phones. How easy for these people easy for them to communicate? We don't know. They got carrier pigeons.
All that matters is that there are multiple personalities that are taking place that are some are stronger than other and whatever. Dark friends, they all are just trying to get gold.
No, they're just trying to carry out their mission.
Gold, shiny things, carry on with your life, and just get to the top. So they're going to be crawling over everybody else's back. You can't trust each other and dark friends.
None of them trust each other.
Yeah.
That's pretty clear. We get that from Lanfear's conversation with
bottom
Balza.
line is, yes, he's getting attacked all the time now.
Yeah.
And he's ready.
Yeah.
And Perrin sees him in the dream just getting swarmed by people with these giant dogs howling in the background.
Yeah.
And he just...
Men, women...
And Rand dealing death.
Found this giant paw print.
Perrin did. Perrin's seen paw prints in the stone. Yep, exactly.
What is
and he's
that?
smelling stuff on the wind. We don't know. I mean,
nothing good.
These hounds can leave prints in stone, apparently.
Weird.
And they're tracking down Rand.
Yeah.
I thought he was just scared of wolves.
I don't think Perrin's scared of wolves.
Also.
So we're heading into the home stretch here with our Coplin of the week. Adam, who is your Coplin of the week?
Mine is Orban.
Yeah.
I don't know how we can't go with Orban. I think that should be a group cheer.
Seriously.
Hip hip.
Because
Orban.
Oh, is it Orban?
It's not in the glossary.
I don't know. Either way, I never want to think of this person again.
He's headed towards the two rivers.
Ugh, I don't like the thought of that. This guy is just gross.
Yeah. All right.
He's gross.
Mine is actually different. Though I do like your choice, Adam. Mine is, I don't remember the guy's name, the captain of the boat.
Which one? We have two ships this week, remember?
Well, there's only one that's really, 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 really annoying that seems to be in league with...
Oh, he's so gross.
Oh, Jayan Nadara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The captain of the Snow Goose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my word, he's annoying.
He's and then he's like, oh, wait, no, not me.
He's yeah. But considering the fact that you guys just came from Tarvalon and have a note from Tarvalon, I don't really mean you. Yeah. Nothing wrong with all the Aes Sedai, just kill every other one. Yeah, I did not like that guy at all.
That's a very good choice.
Yeah.
Perrin isn't being fooled by his monkey shines. Okay, so we've got Orban. We've got Jan, and mine are gray men. My
Oh.
Coplin of the week is gray
Isn't
men.
that what yours were last week?
It is.
2 weeks running.
It is.
Jeez. You're just going full on evil empire about
I
it.
don't like these guys, and they're becoming
neither
more
do I.
prevalent, not less prevalent.
Yeah.
They shoot an arrow at the
Yeah.
Amerlin or at Rand, and then all of a sudden, the next book, they're popping out of everybody's ears. They're just coming out of the woodwork.
That is true.
You
They
have to
are
know
all over
where
the place
to
now.
look.
It's a-
In the woodwork.
It's funny because the way that Jordan writes, it just seems like he invented the gray man, and now they're just everywhere.
Yeah.
And I don't like them. So they are my Coplin of the week.
That is true. He does present them in the way that they're like, oh wait, no, you thought those other things were evil. These are even more evil.
Right.
And then wait, no, they keep popping up and dying.
Right. They're the most.
They're good cannon fodder.
They're the most. Right. They are. That's exactly what they are. They're peasants, peons, the bland evil.
Very dangerous ones, but yes.
All right. Who leveled up? Adam, who leveled up for you?
Tom Maryland.
Oh,
Tommy
Tom
boy.
Maryland.
He came back out of nowhere. He might be a little worse for the wear, but
He seems to be on the
doing
mend.
all right.
He
Yeah.
seems to be coming back
Seems to be
around,
on the
though.
other men.
Yeah.
He's going to help things out.
I'm glad he's back. I'm glad
Yeah,
everybody
me
could
too.
use a little Tom Maryland in their life.
Yes.
Little bit of Maryland in my life. My person who leveled up this week is Perrin.
Makes sense.
Perrin's making mature decisions. He's obviously becoming some sort of dream overlord through the guidance of Hopper. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. He's not morose Perrin any longer, so I'm
No.
excited about
That's
that.
a definite step in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Perrin's becoming a more enjoyable dude to hold some mental space with. So good on you, Perrin. You leveled up for me this week. Which brings us to Dave.
I'm going with Gaul.
Yeah,
I was
okay.
fascinated with Gaul. He was a one-man wrecking machine.
Yeah.
He just took those white cloaks down, and we don't like white cloaks. He took them down like no one's business. He just tore through them like I don't even know what.
Is Tai Chi, Kung Fu,
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Shaolin monk karate.
Then he was kind of like, it was just the two of us. Fantastic moments with Gaul. I liked him. And that if that's what the Aiel are like as warriors, good grief.
They're bad men.
Yeah.
So that concludes episode 23 of the Jack of the Shadows podcast. Next week for episode 24, we will be covering chapters 37 through 42. So until then, may you rest in the Creator's hand.
Toodaloo.